As a musician and a student of musical history, it's easy to understand the demise of psalm singing, but it's harder to understand why there has not been a resurgence. I want to look at each of these issues on their own. First, there is a problem presented by the versifications, and specifically the language used in many psalters. Many English-speaking people struggle with using ancient language that has no context to their modern life or vocabulary. It's not difficult for everyone, but for introducing psalm singing to a society that values all things contemporary, this is a challenge. Thankfully, there are those writing today who are willing to adjust an ancient versification to fit with contemporary understanding, or even to produce new ones altogether. Secondly, there is the problem of using the English translation of the Psalms. To their credit, there are those who through the years have sought to take the English translation of the Psalms and write new music for it. Most often these attempts are through composed with no rhyme or metrical structure that often resembles a meandering melody or limited melodic range. The result is often good lyrics, but poor music, and it has just not taken root in our catechism of corporate worship. Hebrew poetry is quite different from English poetry in its construction, stresses, and meanings. Just because you sing an English translation of the book of Psalms does not in and of itself bring preference over singing a well-constructed hymn with theologically sound words. Thirdly, there is the issue of musical construction. As I have researched hundreds of songs and close to 20 psalters, I've asked myself, what about the book of Psalms screams minor keys? To be sure, musical compositions constructed in a minor tonality have long been the norm for classical music. From my own experience, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, his Ode to Joy, is a perfect example, beginning in D minor. Yet the fourth movement, or the finale, is one of the most joyous expressions of music ever written. And as you sing this piece and arrive at the closing section of the finale, you feel like you are ascending the final giant hill of a roller coaster ride. And you sing the last maestoso section, Freude schöner Götterfunken. The orchestra explodes in the most exhilarating prestissimo to close the symphony in D major. This move from D minor to D major is exciting and fulfilling for anyone who hears this work. However, there are many versifications of the Psalms written today that center predominantly around a minor tonality and never provide musical satisfaction to the listener. And no matter how dark the text or how intense the lament, the Psalms always provide hope in depending upon God. In fact, each of the 5 books of the Psalms ends with a doxology that gives a hopeful final cadenza to what has been written in the earlier chapters beforehand. Finally, there's one last issue that is perhaps the most important of all. It is our unfamiliarity with the Psalms. We live in a day and age where the Psalms are not our first source of relief when trouble overwhelms us. We seek distractions from social media, music, or contemporary society instead of returning to what has been proven to sustain believers for thousands of years. This modern problem-solving method has led us to be less dependent upon God and even less upon His Word. The Psalms have not shaped our thinking about life and how to live it because we're not immersed in them. If we aren't reading them, then we aren't praying them, and we certainly are not singing them. So let's recover this in our own lives. Read, pray, and sing the Psalms.